Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Eric Landskroner. That 23-cent per gallon hike in the gas tax sure seems inevitable these days, considering both the Senate and the Assembly have agreed on a plan to make it a reality. But my next guest, Republican Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, says that idea not necessarily necessary. Assemblyman, welcome to the show.
Eric, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about this 23 cents per gallon. It's not that you're against a gas tax hike. You just don't want to see it all lumped onto motorist shoulders at the same time.
I've been advocating for an increase in the gas tax dating back to 2012. The better way to do it for New Jersey citizens is a very slow and gradual increase. We wouldn't be where we are today. I think it's a shame. I mean, our handling of this issue is what makes people lose faith in government. We've had this iceberg on our radar for 4+ years, and yet on July 1st, 2016, we hit it head on.
Steered right into it. All right, so what's the alternative? What would you do at this point? Because, you know, both of the plans, almost every plan that we've heard of at this point has included this 23 cent per gallon increase in the gas tax. State Senator Jen Beck says we can do this without a gas tax increase at all. What do you think about that?
We need to replenish the Transportation Trust Fund, and the best way to do it over the short and midterm is with the gas tax. The question is how much. 23 cents overnight because of our irresponsibility is not the right way to do it. Senator Sweeney has a proposal out there to increase school funding by $500 million over the next couple of years. The governor is suggesting that we decrease the sales tax. How about we just keep the gas tax where it is, keep the sales tax where it is, and use sales tax revenue to replenish the Transportation Trust Fund? There's another way to do this with a mixture of a number of different things.
And in fact, the sales tax proposal, lowering it over time by 1% basically, critics have said that that alone would blow a huge hole in the budget.
Fiscally dangerous, politically brilliant. It's put Sweeney on the hot spot with regard to the pension ballot question.
And that, in fact, is something else that we're going to talk about in a second. So what can we do in the state? What can you do in Trenton to control spending? Is this an issue of controlling spending and cutting elsewhere in the budget to try and fund transportation projects? Is there a better way to do it to get both sides to come together at this point? Because the governor has made very clear that the current plan is dead on arrival.
It's all the above. And what I always say to people is there's one thing we should hate more than taxes. I don't know of Democrats that want to raise taxes, even though they always get blamed for that. But there's one thing we should hate more than taxes, and that's debt. And if you take a look at what we've done with the Transportation Trust Fund over the past 30 years, we haven't raised the gas tax in 30 years. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. We bonded, 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 and bonded. And now the amount of revenue, the gas tax revenue, only makes the mortgage payment. That's bad news for new investment. So it's a mixture, it's a blend to solve it, but we need to solve it.
What about all the road projects out there right now that are at a standstill, and the workers who would normally be out there working, collecting money, and then going and pumping money back into the economy, frequenting local businesses, mom and pop shops? This is all hurting the economy. There's a trickle-down effect here.
It's a disgrace. Our responsibility led to where we are today. We hit the iceberg despite 4 years knowing it was sitting out there. Now we have projects that have been halted. We have EMS situations because of long traffic jams, because of projects that have been stopped, closed down, and we have hardworking middle-class New Jerseyans that are not working. It's a shame. It's a disgrace, and we should be back in Trenton trying to fix it every single day.
You spoke about Senator Sweeney just a moment ago. Of course, Senator Sweeney, somebody who is widely expected to be running for governor, and just this week came out with some very scathing remarks, called for an investigation by the State Attorney General's office into state labor unions, the NJEA, the Fraternal Order of Police, because in essence he had to shelve the TTF, not the TTF plan, but the pension funding plan in favor of the TTF, trying to work something out here. So what do you think about his decision to do that and to speak out against the unions here?
I supported his call for an investigation. There are pay-to-pay problems in Trenton. There are appearances of conflict everywhere. This one crossed the line. When the people that give the money are threatening to withhold it, and if those who accepted it then posted the bill, you're talking about borderline extortion and bribery. I support his call for an investigation. It was egregiously reckless and just terrible on the part of the leadership. Let's be clear here. We're not talking about the rank and file, hardworking middle-class New Jerseyans that are part of those unions. We're talking about leadership that made a terrible, terrible mistake. It was egregiously arrogant, and really reckless.
Now, is the fear here that the state, financially speaking, fiscally speaking, just can't handle the burden then of having to make these quarterly payments?
We cannot. You cannot make the pension payments on a quarterly basis. And so the further reforms need to be done. And not so much on the pension side. We did a good job of reforming pensions back in 2011. What we haven't done a good job of is the post-retirement health care benefit. That's what's busting our budget and taking away all of our financial flexibility.
Here we are. We're on the verge of getting into the gubernatorial race now for New Jersey 2017. We've heard a lot of names for Democrats thrown around as potentially entering the race. Steve Sweeney, as I just mentioned ago, Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop. And this past about a week and a half ago or so, toward the conclusion of the Democratic convention, you had everybody kind of rubbing elbows a little bit on the Democratic side. What about you for Republicans? Are you going to enter the race here?
It's something I'm giving very, very serious consideration to, and every indication is yes.
What is it that you feel that you could bring to the governor's office that others could not?
I'm less rigid in my ideology. I'm conservative fiscally, but not so much so that I can't get along with Democrats. And I'm just very, very passionate about pointing Jersey in a different type of direction, providing a different type of leadership. My handling of the TTF would have been very different. I would have been having this conversation with New Jersey 4 years ago, not on July 31st.
All right, Assemblyman, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, talk to you soon. And keep it right here because much more to come on New Jersey Power and Politics right after the break.